This hour is brought to you by Jeremy Temple Law Office of Bloomington. Personal injury, criminal, business, whatever you need, Jeremy Temple Law Office will get you taken care of.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome aboard to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary here on this Wednesday, February 12th. Coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Hope you've had a great middle part of your week. We're at the hump. It's hump day. Well, hopefully we'll get you over that. I'm Jim Coyle alongside my running mate Todd Leary. Hope things are getting going for you. It's almost baseball time, man, Todd. And on the program today, we've got Indiana coach Jeff Mercer to talk to us. But I cannot believe baseball is opening up, man.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it when the Super Bowl was on, how right around the corner was going to be spring training, and now it's college baseball time. It's just I'm happy because that means it's coming to an end with the cold weather, but just doesn't seem like it's ready to be here yet.
Yeah, because that also means the end of basketball, which some of you fans may be happy about that right now, but not me, man, not me. It kind of builds and builds like everything else, but man, can you imagine the college basketball season getting better than it has been so far? It's been nuts.
Yeah, this is. I mean, I know that we say this every year. I know that we do, but this year truly is different. And this year, you just never know. I mean, whichever team, gets on that run and gets some momentum and gets something going right at the end of the season is going to be the team that ends up, winning the national championship. Because right now, there's usually probably 4, 5, 6 teams that I think, have a legit shot without something flukish happening. And right now, I think there's like 18 teams that have a shot. I truly believe that.
Well, let's talk about Penn State at Purdue last night. Purdue, a team that has been living on feasting on three-pointers from people. They hit, 19 at home against Iowa last week. Then they come to Assembly Hall, and they shoot pretty well there. They hit 9 or 10 there. Then they go back home against Penn State, and they can't find the ocean if they were standing on the beach, man. They started out 0 for 9, 10 to start the game.
And got 14 of them stuck down their throat by Penn State.
Yeah.
So it was role reversal for Purdue last night. I mean, they what they did to Iowa came right back at them.
You got to give them credit. They made a hell of a run there toward the end to get back. I mean, they got back within 6 points maybe.
6, yeah.
I mean, they were down 20 in the second half, 43-23, I think. And you talk about making a run. They did, but man, Michigan State holds on 70-69. Now that has, I mean. I was looking at the wrong screen. I was already moving ahead to the next game.
I know it.
So Purdue made a hell of a run, though. They really did. I'm like, are they going to make this a game? Because all it would have taken, because they had just enough time, but they had to get on fire from the three again, and they didn't do that. And
well, I mean, they shot. You mentioned they made 19 threes against Iowa. Against Indiana, they made 8, but they were 8 of 16, so they shot 50%. And then they came back to reality, and this is the way Purdue's been shooting the ball all year, and shot 4 for 17 yesterday against Penn State. So, and truly, like we have, at least I do as an Indiana fan, I've watched a lot of Penn State's games, but the game that Indiana played against them, Penn State didn't play very good. That's the crazy part. Like Indiana had every opportunity to go to Penn State and steal that game, and they just didn't play very good. But yesterday, Penn State played great. I mean, not just offensively, but defensively, they were solid yesterday. And I saw that 13 ranking for them nationally, and I thought that might have been a tad bit, lenient for them. But they backed it up last night. A road win at Purdue. Not very many teams in the Big Ten have done that.
Well, not only that, but Penn State won on the road at Purdue, like you said. But Michigan State goes into Illinois. They get a road win as well. So we saw some reversal last night. Almost saw the craziest upset of the season in the Big Ten, dude. If Nebraska could have finished off. They lose 72-70 at Maryland, the best team in the Big Ten right now, and the worst team in the Big Ten, almost pulled off an on-the-road upset. That would have been monumental.
Oh, it would have. I mean, it would have been fitting. I mean, it's right on par with what has been going on. Just pure stupidity, and nothing makes any sense. But Nebraska got off to a terrible start. That's the crazy part. I mean, Maryland was rolling early. They were up 10 points super early in the game, and Nebraska. This one thing Nebraska has figured out a way to do is hang around, and they hung around, and then towards the end made some shots because they started that game out. I don't know. I didn't look at the final stats, but they started that game out 1 for 14 from the 3-point line. I mean, just imagine if they had
just anything at all.
They finished 7 for 33 from the 3-point line.
That's crazy.
And lost by 2.
Who keeps shooting when you're missing that badly?
7 for 33. Well, obviously, whoever Jay Green is, because he was 0 for 6. Another guy was 0 for 4. Another 1 for 6. I mean, they were jacking it.
Tim says Mackey just wasn't loud enough, Todd.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks for checking in, Tim.
Jennifer texts in with us. She says, what differences do you see between this team and Tom Crean's team 3 years ago? They imploded that season, and I feel we are in the same boat again. Thank you, Jennifer.
The difference in this team is Trace Jackson Davis. And I don't just mean, I mean his skill set and what he brings to the table. I think the team a few years ago was relying much more on outside shooting. And I think this team, I think they need outside shooting for sure, but they have an inside presence. Now, the hard part is, you're late in the Big Ten season and teams have figured out a way to guard you. They figured out your strengths. Teams are just daring Indiana to beat them from the outside. And it's basically what Nebraska did last night with Maryland and Maryland made a bunch of shots at the beginning of the game, but it caught up with them in the end. I mean, Maryland shot 7 for 23 from the 3-point line in the game. So they didn't shoot it well either. And that's the recipe to beat, Maryland. That's the recipe to beat Indiana. It's really the recipe to beat Purdue as well. I mean, it's stupid to say after they shot 50% from the 3-point line against Indiana and made 19 of them the game before that, but they've not shot the ball well. So, I mean, answer to the question, the differences in this team is built with a more solid foundation, but teams are figuring out a way to stop it.
The scary thing is, while they have not shot well for a while now, with Jordan Geronimo coming in, Trey Galloway and Anthony Leal, I don't see a ton of help coming in there. I mean, I know that there's probably some, maybe, but yeah.
I mean, but here's the way to.
Although
look at
Jordan,
it.
now
they're not Jordan Holes. They're not Jordan Holes coming in here,
right?
But right now, I think Trey Galloway and Anthony Leal. I know Trey Galloway shoots the ball better than anyone on Indiana's team.
Right.
Without a question. And now that doesn't mean he's going to come in and start and score 20 points a game. Never know how
he doesn't have to. As long as he can add some shooting, just a little bit, just a little flavor. That's all it takes a lot of times.
Yeah, I mean, Indiana has to figure out a way. I know just shooting jump shots is not the only thing that they need, but it is something that they have to have, and they have got to be able to make some shots. And it doesn't have to be 3-pointers either. I mean, if you can just stretch the defense out so they have to come out and respect you, from 17 feet, that's dragging them out away from the basket. That's all they need. I mean, they just don't have. I mean, I don't know who they've got to do that. The lineups that they have in there. I mean, you think about it, the starting lineup between Justin Smith, Trace Jackson Davis, and Joey Brunk at 17 feet. I know that at least two of those. I know Joey Brunk and Justin Smith are capable of making that shot, but they're not deadly from there. They're not going to kill you from there. And I think teams are willing to live with letting Indiana shoot the ball from that range and saying, as long as we don't give you, 45 points in the paint, I don't think you can score enough to beat us.
Yeah, and this time of year, patterns are pretty set for teams. Indiana, these teams, they figured them out, like you've said, and they're doing exactly.
Coaches are good. I mean, coaches are good, and
that's why they get paid the big bucks, man.
It is. They study a lot, and their job, I mean, think about it. Think what Iowa's been doing, for the last 4 days. I mean, they've been trying to figure out, this is their first time playing Indiana. They've been trying to figure out what everybody else do. What did whomever do to keep Indiana to 54 points or whatever the scenario is. I mean, they're going to make it very difficult for Indiana to score. My guess is going to be, and this is total guess, and I've watched Iowa play enough, they're going to come in here and play zone, and they're going to, guard everything inside the 3-point line. I mean, if I was creating a defense against Indiana, I would not allow anyone on my team to ever have any 1 inch of their foot outside the 3-point line. We would pack it in there so bad, it's not even funny, because I don't think they can make enough shots to beat you.
Yeah, I agree, and it's we'll see what they end up doing. But man, they Indiana has a hell of a challenge coming up that we'll talk about later with Iowa coming in. But looking forward to Jeff Mercer joining us here today too, though, man. Baseball season opens up this week. I cannot believe maybe that'll bring warmer weather faster.
Yeah, well, the day they start, Friday afternoon when they start, I think I saw the high here in Bloomington is 22. So it ain't going to be that day. They're happy they're in Louisiana.
It ain't going to be that day. No, it is not. Yeah, they I wish we were going with them.
Yeah, you and me both. I mean, you had us trying to follow Indiana for the Big Ten tournament. I mean, at least
it's indoors.
This baseball team around this weekend.
Yeah, it'd be a lot warmer, that's for sure.
Yeah, it would.
But Coach Jeff Mercer is going to join us here in the next segment. Indiana's head baseball coach as the Hoosiers open up the season down in Louisiana at the Baton Rouge. A little bit. What was that, Jake? But looking forward to seeing how they're going to break out, man. When a little bit of pressure on them, they're the defending Big 12 champions, Todd. I mean, what kind of pressure does that?
Did we switch to the Big 12 already?
Big 10 conference. What kind of pressure does that put on you, though, when you're like the defending champion? You are the defending champion.
You got
you're a first-year coach.
Right. You get a first-year coach coming in here. I mean, how do you back that up? You back that up with, a deep run in the NCAA tournament. And the hard part, here's something that's difficult, is after you've had a very successful season, and I think last year you would have to consider the baseball team had a very successful season. It's hard to come out and kind of take it one game at a time, because you want to fast forward and hurry up and get to that. You want to get to the end of the season where you're winning again, where you got championships, and you want to play the Big Ten tournament, and you want to go to the NCAA. I mean, you want to fast forward and get to that point, and it just doesn't work that way.
I'll tell you what, I wish Jeff Mercer was on right now to hear what you just said, because I guarantee he'd be going, yes, you're exactly right. He's that, and that's the kind of coach he is. He's a real. He's a thinker. Every time we have the opportunity to interview him after the games, it's long answers, but these are long, descriptive answers. You learn a lot in his post-game press conferences from the game. Seriously, I learned because he is very descriptive about why they do things.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, he obviously is very organized and has a plan for this program, not just for last year. So, be interested to hear, his take on, how you get the guys last year that had a ton of success. How do you get them to do the day-to-day stuff and the little tiny stuff that makes you really good at the end of the year? And it's not always easy. That's one of the difficulties of coaching.
Well, we'll find out. He's with us in the next segment when we come back. We've got Indiana baseball coach Jeff Mercer here on Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with all that and plenty more right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Ryan Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dawkins.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Larry here on this Wednesday, February 12th, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. And believe it or not, even though we're in mid-February, it's time to kick off the baseball season, and we've got Indiana coach Jeff Mercer with us. Coach, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Well, I'd rather be going with you to Louisiana. Both me and Todd were talking about this. We'd rather be following you to Louisiana right now because the high here on Friday, he just told me, it's going to be like 20.
Yeah, I'd say I would say I'd want to follow us too. Maybe we can get you an extra ticket here at the last minute. I'll see if I can make a phone call.
Hey, got Todd Leary with me, Coach, and we were just talking, man. Rookie coach comes in, wins the Big Ten. No pressure this year at all. Just go out and win a national championship.
Yeah, no pressure at all. Yeah, it was a lot of fun last year. The boys did a really good job, and we were able to play well down the stretch there. But it definitely is nice to have a group of guys that had a lot of success last year coming into this year, and you're gonna rely back on that experience and being able to play well in those big environments, big moments. But no, you're right. It definitely sets the stage for the program and moving forward.
I told Todd that you were out there throwing the heat the other day in BP, and he says he can take you yard. He's ready.
Yeah, he did not. He did not say that because I've stood behind the plate before, and I can tell you I can barely see the ball coming in there. So there's no chance.
Well, I'll tell you this. I actually pitched in high school, and then when I went to college, as more of a pitcher than a hitter, and got hurt and became more of a hitter in my career. But since I've gotten to coaching, I've gotten a lot better at hitting barrels instead of missing barrels. So I'm pretty good at finding a barrel. So all you got to do is pretty much just stick it out, and I can hit it for you.
Well, man, it seems like Indiana must have had you pitching against them last year a lot because you guys went deep a lot. You were like second in the country in home runs, which is, I know it's not something that was really planned, I don't think, but it just really came together and was a big help last year.
Yeah, when you look at how rosters are built and how they're constructed over a period of years, baseball recruiting is so far into the future, and we walk in the door there, and the roster was built to be physical and big and to try to hit the ball a long way. And so, I would prefer to have a little bit more of a dynamic offense. But when we got moving through that whole thing, it just became apparent that we needed to try to be able to hit for power and to teach those guys how to do that. And there's still some kinks to it, but we'll try to transition ourselves to where we can be a little bit more multidimensional and be able to drive the ball, but also, use the stolen base and use the hit and run and use some different tools. But it was definitely a season for the home run, but we have to make sure that we can play the entire game as well.
Yeah,
hey,
ahead,
Coach. Coach, you'll know I'm a basketball guy when I get done with this question, but when you think about baseball teams and baseball seasons, college game is it any different than, I guess, the majors when you're looking at, I guess, your starting rotation and your pitching rotations are the thing that kind of dictate how your season is going to go? Do we have the same pitching? Did the guys graduate from last year? Do we have new pitchers coming in? Do we have guys that have just matured a year and guys to look forward to watch this season coming up?
Sure. So we lost all three of our weekend pitchers to the draft, and then our closer to the draft as well, which is exciting to have all those guys move on to professional baseball. But it certainly sets the table for a lot of young guys to be able to step in and compete for big innings. So when we first got into, one of our actually our very first primary goal was to try to build a great pitching staff, big physical guys with a lot of upside. We have a great pitching coach and pitching development coordinator, and so we wanted to give those guys a ton of talent and a ton of upside in that group. And so you'll start to see that group kind of matriculate onto the mound this year and make their way. It's a really talented group. It's just very young. So you'll see really good stuff. You'll see power stuff. I'm sure you'll also see a few balls go to the backstop, right? So you'll kind of you have a little bit of both, but I'm really confident in that group over the course of the year under our Coach Parker's guidance and their ability to really be a strong group for now and into the future. And that's where, just as you said, that's where baseball is won. That's where baseball in the playoffs of Major League Baseball, that's where postseason baseball in college, it's won on the mound. You've got to be able to go out and compete on the mound at a really high level. You look at us last year in the NCAA tournament, I think we averaged 7.5 or maybe 8 runs a game in the tournament, and we went 1 and 2. We have to be able to pitch at a level that gives us a chance to win in June, and that's what we're going to build this thing around.
Yeah, and you've got some really good ones coming back. Gabe Bierman is a freshman, a talented freshman, went through a ton personally, but man, while he was going through all that, he pitched the heck out of that ball. Yeah, Gabe was terrific, and you'll see Braden Tucker has made a big step forward. Had a little bit of a hiccup injury last year, and nothing serious, but held him out about halfway through his freshman year. McCade Brown has taken a quantum leap forward. Tommy Summers back healthy, had a really good year up to this point. There's been a lot of those young guys that have grown, and then you see some freshmen. Nate Stahl is a big power arm, was Mr. Baseball in Ohio, and David Platt, the big power arm out of Pennsylvania, and there's just several of those guys that have, and like you said, they're talented, and they're going to get their shot to pitch big innings. And you're not a rookie coach. I was kidding at the start of that, but just being new at Indiana. But when you come into a league like that, you come into the Big Ten, one of the power conferences, and you win a championship right off the bat. That does put a little pressure on you coming back. But what coming back to this second year, and you've talked about some roster changes, but you have to learn along the way too. What are some of the things you've learned as a coach manager going through that first year in the Big Ten?
Well, the great thing about baseball is it's pretty much it's the same across the board, right? The game's not necessarily different. I think what I've learned more of is how to be a better program manager at a program that is larger and that requires more, more care in different areas, right? So you don't necessarily know until you go and do it. So a lot of the managerial things, how to operate a large program, do those things that I've gotten a lot better at. Managing the recruiting landscape, I've gotten better at. Obviously, at this level, you recruit younger and younger, and how to manage that, how to build the inroads and the relationships and do those things. But as far as the baseball goes, I would say for the Big Ten, when we were at Wright State, we played Ohio State in the regional a couple times and had success against those guys. And so we had played a little bit of the Big Ten, but I hadn't played a ton. I think the thing that I was the most impressed with, I thought the pitching across the conference was really good. Everybody had 3 really quality starters that were all caliber, draft pick caliber. The arms were better than I had anticipated. The defenses were fine. The offenses were a bit more stylistic than I had anticipated. A bit more relying on base running and some bunts and some hit and runs and some different things like that than I had anticipated. And so anytime you have those, you make adjustments as to how you run your shifts, right? How you run your shifts, your defensively where the infield plays and outfield, and how you pitch and those different things. So we've made adjustments. We've grown through those things, but the biggest adjustment for me has just been how to manage a program of this size and all of the different people that are a part of it.
Hey, Coach, this is Todd. I mean, in the baseball world, I know the biggest story right now is the Houston Astros and everything that's going on with them. And just as a baseball expert, I mean, I'm not going to ask you your feelings on it because I know there's probably a lot of details we don't really know. But overall, like, how will that affect baseball? Will that trickle down into college baseball at all, or overall, like what's the effects of that going to be on baseball from an outsider's perspective?
Well, the sign stealing and the pitch stealing and those things, those as everyone knows, those have been part of the game for a long time.
Sure.
And the issue obviously is the technology piece, and those things have. Yeah, those rumors have gone around for a couple of years now that those are a part of baseball at every level. And so we're always policing ourselves and always keeping an eye on those things. And maybe that's just the paranoia of baseball in general because of the fact that everyone's always trying to steal your signs.
Right.
But
yeah,
but
I mean,
it definitely has an effect. And I think what it does is, the way that they put their foot down and really, with such a harsh penalty is it sets the stage to give, the NCAA or different high school organizations the teeth to be able to do the same. If those things ever became an issue at our level or at the high school level or anywhere kind of in between, I think if they had come down leniently, I think that probably makes it more difficult for everyone else to hold everyone to the highest of standards in the way that they police their game. So I was, I've got buddies that play for some of those teams, and I know those organizations, and I was glad to see that Major League Baseball took a firm stance and said that this is, if you want to try to steal our signs, you want to watch video and pick the pitches before the game, like you want to look at signs and do all that stuff, that's fine. But once the game starts in live feed action, we can't have that, and so that certainly was the stance they took.
Do you think it'll have any effect on? I mean, because there's not really. I mean, there's still kind of a gray area, at least from what I know about it, and so still, like, what is legal, what isn't legal. And I think you just kind of defined a little bit with your last sentence there that anything during the game is probably going to be frowned upon. But we've all tried to steal signs. I mean, you know what it was like. I mean, I played baseball as a kid growing up, and we were all trying to look in there and see what they're throwing and all that. I mean, I just don't know how they're going to police it.
It's the use of technology.
Yeah,
it's before. So like this. So all of our games are on different technology platforms. Whether it's a shared, like we have a shared drive of video that almost everyone has, or whether it's like a game on TV. And if you want to go and watch every one of our pictures from the game that we played last week and try to pick our signs and then go out into the game and try to have your players figure it out during the game and relay, and like that's a part of the game. That's a part of the game. That's been a part of the game for a long time. Now with the video that we have now, you can go back and have your managers watch it, or you can have if you're in pro ball, you can have your guys watch, which is a common, right? Everyone knows that
you're falling behind if you're not doing that.
What's that?
You're falling behind if you're not doing that.
Yes, as essentially, which is not like, it kind of stinks, to be honest with you. That's what it. I mean, when you look out at second base and you see the opposing team and they're like relaying signs to your batter and it's the first inning, it's like, well, you watched the video from last week's game. That's only way you got that, because it's the third pitch of the game. Right. So like you just kind of know. So then you have to change your signs and you have to do different things. Like that's part of the kind of the gamesmanship, unfortunately. The difference is when there's a feed, like a live feed happening in real time, and you're relaying in real time to change the outcome of the game. And that's where every generation of baseball that I can remember or think of kind of has their thing to kind of change the game, right? You had all the different things throughout the generations where players have taken or done to try to get an advantage, and that's obviously a whole different story. But this is kind of where we're in our new generation. If this was kind of their way to gain an edge, and the issue comes, in my opinion, where it's the in-game live feed where you're changing the outcome, not by something you did a week ago, but by something you're doing currently. Was my understanding of the whole situation.
This weekend, it was a big event, Assembly Hall. I know Bob Knight returned to Indiana to watch a game. Last year, you were fortunate. You were kind of in the baseball team, kind of impetus for Bob Knight returning. He comes to a baseball game. You knew about it a week in advance. I knew him because of Todd. I knew about this a week in advance, and it was the hardest thing in the world to keep that secret. I remember you talking about that and how big of a thing it was, because I understand. But, yeah, that was a huge issue when he came to that baseball game, man. It had to be a pretty cool deal for you especially.
Yeah, it was a really special week. We had played Wright State earlier in the week, where I'd coached and played at, and then that weekend, the coach that I played for in college, he's at Penn State now. We were playing against Penn State, and then I catch word that Coach Knight's coming back. It was like a walk down memory lane of my whole life, right? Growing up loving watching Indiana basketball with my family, and then coaching against all the players I recruited, and then coaching against my college coach, and then having Coach Knight come, and all I could think about was like, don't lay an egg, right? Like, just don't lay an egg. Don't come back. Please don't come back, Coach. And then we get beat by 8 runs, because we were playing doubleheader that day. So we lost on Friday night. Their Friday night arm was really, really good. We got beat like 1-0, and we started playing a doubleheader on Saturday, and I'm like, the worst thing possible for Indiana is for us to get our butt kicked both games, and Coach Knight's like, I'm never coming back again. What's going on? So we didn't. We won. Matt Lloyd had 2 game-winning hits, and I think maybe even 2 saves. And like he did a lot of times last year, Matt Lloyd saved our butt. And I heard Coach Knight had a good time, and I was just really proud to be there when he was coming back, and to be a very small part of. Had nothing to do with him coming back, but just to be there when he was there, and I was just really excited and very proud.
Yeah, hey, Coach. Coach Knight used to always use so many baseball analogies and references. He studied baseball and the history of baseball, and I can't tell you how many Ted Williams stories he told us over the years. It was just incredible. And every single year we used to have Tony La Russa would come in for like at least a week and spend the week at practice, and always come in and talk to us. And I'll just never that was part of the coolest thing that Coach Knight ever did, was bring all these big professional coaches and stars and former players and heroes, people that my dad had heard of and watched play and stuff like that. And baseball was such a big part for Coach Knight. And I know his health's not great right now, but I know in talking to Pat Knight, his son, I know he even talked about this weekend. He talked about that trip to the baseball stadium and how awesome the baseball stadium is at IU now. So he's extremely proud of it. And I think you guys put on a great product last year for him.
That makes me really happy. I'm really glad that you said that. That was a big deal. I was concerned about that, and I don't usually get too anxious or nervous. It's kind of, the game comes and it goes, and it's going to be what it's going to be. You've either coached and prepared to have it. But I was a little bit nervous about that one coming into that week. So,
understand. Believe me, of all people, I understand that.
Yeah,
well, Coach, I appreciate you taking the time to be with us today, man. Hopefully, we can get you back on as the season goes along. We can bug you because
that'd be great.
Love following the Hoosiers baseball program. Get out to the BART, everybody, and watch the games this year. You guys, that's another. You do have great support, and that's awesome.
We do.
You can't ever have enough.
I was blown away. I didn't know that the great fan support and the base and how many fans were getting the games, and it was a really pleasant surprise, and we're very fortunate.
Absolutely. Well, good luck down in Baton Rouge, man. I hope you bring back 3 wins. I know it's going to be a tough way to open up the season, but good luck, and we'll be following you all the way.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, and have a great day.
You too, man. Coach Jeff Mercer, the Indiana baseball coach, defending Big Ten champions. Hopefully they can carry on that deal as they start the season in Baton Rouge on Friday. Against LSU, number 11 LSU, but had a great time talking to. I'm telling you, he's one of my absolute favorites, Todd, to talk to. He's as great as you can tell. He's so conversational. He's easy to talk to. He really he loves talking about the game, and he's just a good dude, man.
You can tell he's a thinker. You're right. You called that. I mean, you could tell he's given a lot of thought to this season and these players.
And he's such a young guy. He's such a young guy, but he's a student of the game. He'll always. I think he's that guy. He reminds me of. I didn't want to say that. I almost did say it on the air. Bob Knight, in a way, because that's why I don't think people understand. Bob Knight was brilliant. I mean, a lot of people do know, but there are people who don't understand. He was freaking brilliant.
Dude, his language was way too clean to be Bob Knight. Come on now.
Oh, well, that's on the air, but but Bob Knight was brilliant. I'm not saying Jeff is or isn't, I don't know, but he studies the game. You can tell, and that's what Bob Knight did. They study those guys like that. They study, they find your weaknesses, and they beat you on your own weaknesses.
Yeah, they win. He won with people like me. That tells you he had to be a genius.
Who was it? I'm trying to. Bum Phillips. I forget who he was talking about, but he was talking about some coach. But he said he can take his'n and beat urine, or urine and beat his'n.
I get it. That means I'm a hillbilly because I get it.
Hey, man, we got lots more coming up here on the Golf Club or Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Larry from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Stay tuned. Matt Weaver's on the program today. We got more to talk about. Who are the biggest college basketball grudges left now after Indiana and Bob Knight have made up? Who's out there now? We'll talk about that when we come back to. Stay tuned. We're back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dawkins.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat here on this Wednesday, February 12th. Hey, it's Abraham Lincoln's birthday. 407 years ago today, our forefathers brought forth.
How is that not a holiday?
Absolutely. One of the greatest presidents in the history of this country, if not the greatest. It's a great day.
I got a good Abraham Lincoln story.
Do you? Hope you weren't there.
I don't know if I can tell it.
Oh, probably not.
It involves Bob Knight.
Well, you can tell it in about 15 minutes, probably.
Okay.
We'll have to
It
leave.
involves Donald Trump, Bob Knight, and Pat Knight. What's that tell you?
Yeah, okay.
And it happened this weekend.
Ooh.
There, is that a teaser for you?
Yeah, man. Now I have to wait.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready.
It's a peach.
Oh, man.
Moving on.
All right, so now that, speaking of Bob Knight, now that Indiana and Bob Knight have, quote unquote, made up, who's the biggest the one that comes to mind quickly is Rick Pitino. He actually has it going on in two different places of sorts, because he's not he's persona non gratis by the U of L.
But that's the grudge
board.
versus that's the grudge, like the fan base versus him, right?
Well, not Louisville. What? Louisville's the administration versus him. He's cool with the fan base. The Kentucky, on the other hand, the fan base, him and the fan base are not simpatico. I think the last time that he was there, he allegedly threw him the bird on the way out of Rupp Arena, place where he won a national championship for Kentucky.
Right.
But apparently, Calipari has reached out, tried to mend the fences, because it does suck to see that when you see someone like Bob Knight, to have that estrangement, it just sucks, because especially when you read these stories that Bob Knight had a seat picked out, in Assembly Hall where he was going to watch the games when he retired. He could quickly leave if he wanted to. It was at the top of one of the ends, I think.
Let me tell you all of that. Let me just summarize all of that for you.
All that's crap.
The only way all of that was going to happen is if he picked the successor to him,
yes.
And if they did everything the way that he wanted. That's the only way that was ever going to happen.
Well, that's right. I guarantee I know that is exactly right, what you're saying. But yeah, it would be nice to see those come down. But there's not really a bunch. I don't really, this was an ESPN story, but there wasn't really a lot. You've got Chris Webber, the Fab Five in Michigan now, but that's different to me. That's because they freaking cheated.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
big
difference.
You could think maybe Calipari to Memphis, maybe Calipari to UMass.
Well, but
maybe Calipari to every New Jersey Nets. Maybe Calipari to everywhere else.
Everywhere he's been.
He's been. Yeah, I mean, in 3 years,
he leaves a trail like a snail.
Yeah. As soon as he gets Kentucky in trouble, he'll be moving on from there. So it'll be Calipari to Kentucky also. I mean, whatever his wake is that school doesn't like him anymore because he leaves them in peril.
Great point. 2 banners taken down, both at Memphis and
UMass. He's the. Here's the crazy part. So Brian Evans played for him for the New Jersey Nets, and Brian Evans and Tony Barbie played for him and is a current assistant coach for him. Tony Barbie's from North Central in Indianapolis, and Tony Barbie and Brian Evans will both tell you if you ever hung out with him and if you ever sat and talked to him, he would be your favorite person. You would. He's a person. You know, he's great. He's nice. He's friendly. He's good to people. He is all of the above. And I'm just like, I don't care. I hate him. I'm supposed to hate him. He's at Kentucky. I'm supposed to hate him. He's a cheater. Like everything about him. I mean, you can't leave all those places in. Yeah, I mean, hey, I'll give you one. Kelvin Sampson in Indiana. You think he'd get a good ovation if he came back here?
You know, you're right. I don't think that he would, for sure. Mike Davis would.
Sure.
But
he didn't leave on. He didn't cheat because he didn't scandal.
Cheat.
Right. Sure.
Yeah, he didn't cheat, and it's a shame too, because it's a shame. He broke the rules, even though they were stupid rules that they changed immediately because they were so stupid.
Right.
But he cheated.
Kelvin Sampson. I could say this. Here's my thing. Coach Knight kind of taught us this: is don't say something. I don't care if it's on the radio or if it's just one-on-one with your wife or whomever it might be. Don't say something unless you'd be willing to sit in front of that person and say it, and you could back it up with legitimate, either reasons why you feel that or facts and all that. And like, I can just tell you, Kevin Sampson was not a nice person. People around him didn't like working. Like, the administration did not like being around him. He was mean, and he wasn't like, he didn't do things the right way. And he kept saying he wanted to have the former players and bring back the history of Indiana basketball and all that. And it was all a lie. He didn't want any of it. And it was like, there was nothing about Kelvin Sampson that I enjoyed him being in Indiana at all. I hated watching his teams play. Like, there was just nothing about it I liked.
You think that that's something that he has learned and changed, hopefully? I mean,
no.
You don't? That's
no.
As he's moved on to Houston.
No.
And has had success there.
Yeah, I mean, and that doesn't mean his teams aren't good. And he can't. I mean, he had a couple of Oklahoma teams that were decent. But I mean, I think he'll probably always have teams that are competitive. I don't think he'll ever have teams that can win big. I mean, he's winning big in a crap conference, and he's winning. He's not even winning big. He's winning above average.
But there's a lot of fans, minus the cheating, minus the the texting and whatnot. But minus that, there's a lot of IU fans that probably would not mind seeing him back on the sideline.
Oh, they've lost their minds. No, they really wouldn't. Like, if they knew the details and all that, they wouldn't. Believe me.
What's that, Jake?
There's a reason why Dockage kicked off half the team.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. I mean, Dockage had to try to clean that mess up, and Dockage kind of got, I don't want to say got the bad rap for it, but I mean, he definitely was dealt.
He had to be he had to be the bad guy, and that label got labeled on him.
I think Dockage would tell you. I think I've heard him say this. I think so. So if he didn't say it just like this, then understand. Like, I'm misquoting it, but I'm pretty sure that I've heard him say since then. He should have kicked off just basically everybody. He should have kicked off the entire starting 5 and the next 4 players and played with walk-ons for the rest of the year, because he had bad eggs. I mean, there was a whole bunch of bad apples. There was a whole bunch of bad people involved in the program at that time, and he should have just booted them off the team. And I think he would tell you that. I'm pretty sure I've heard him say that.
Yeah, there was even Tom Crean went through that more. When Tom Crean came in, there was more of that.
Yeah,
remember
still there, right?
The potted plant getting thrown in his office or something. getting knocked over. I forget which player it was, but basically I think that was his last day at IU. But he knocked over a plant on the way out of Crean's office. I mean, you still had, and if you remember, you had players getting in trouble. Devin Davis and oh gosh, dang it, what was the Emmett Holt? Which one got hit?
No, it wasn't Emmett Holt.
Emmett Holt was driving, right? Devin Davis got hit, I believe, right? But you had all that stuff going on. You had Hannah Mask Perea got underage drinking. I think even Yogi Ferrell got underage drinking. There was just a lot of stuff going on that they had to, you're right, that they had to get cleaned up. And all the way up until when Tom Crean arrived, it was still going on. So you're right. It was a mess. I mean, the program was a mess.
Players drinking, that's just.
Can you imagine that?
That's appalling.
Can you imagine that ever happened? Can you imagine a player had a drink? Oh my goodness.
Nope. Gosh.
That never happened in your day, did it?
Yeah, no, that never happened in Bob Knight's era.
No, God, no.
So many people that went to school with during any of those years saw players doing stuff that they probably are shaking their head at me right now about. There was some silliness. We were kids too. You gotta. That's one of the things that I still today have to remind myself when I sit here and criticize the play of these guys that are on the team, that they're 18, 19, 20 years old. I mean, I made some really bad decisions in my 30s. So believe me, I'm a hypocrite in sitting here saying that they should be making all good decisions, because I know between 18 and 25, I made some stupid ones. And we all, I think I shouldn't say we all do, because I'm speaking for other people, and there's probably some people that don't, but most people make some pretty bad decisions in that age group.
It's part of growing up. Yeah, it's part of the learning process. I mean, most of us aren't smart enough to make the right decision every time.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It just didn't seem. It just. I think back, it just didn't seem as fun going that route.
Yeah, you're right.
But
you get a lot of. Think about this. The next time you're thinking about how Indiana played and all that. Now, here's the issue with what I'm saying, and here's why I'm pretty comfortable in saying these things, is because I'm criticizing like effort level right now. I mean, I'm criticizing, and I don't just mean on the court. I mean, these guys could become better shooters if they were in the gym more. These guys could become better, better passers and move their feet better if they were working out more in the weight room and things like that. Like, there's things these guys could be doing right now that could make this team better. And part of it's leadership. And, I'm not just criticizing, them in general as 18-year-olds. I know they're going to make some silly mistakes and bad decisions on the floor, but you can overcome that with a lot of crazy effort. You're playing against other 18 to 22-year-olds too that are also going to make stupid decisions. So kind of equals itself out. You just can't be on the bad end of that and make twice as many as everybody else.
No, and I will say we've certainly seen over the last. Tom Crean started it. He got it cleaned up, and it stayed that way. I mean, since he's left, that's one good thing. And I've said this before, and this goes across football, everything. They've done a good job of recruiting good people because we're fortunate that we don't see kids getting in trouble. Not that it happens everywhere and in any time, of course, but
sure, man,
there was a time where it got bad. I mean, 80s, 90s, if you remember Miami and all the college athletes got out of hand.
Oh, yeah.
And that's dangerous when you give a young person with very little experience and life experience the keys to the world where they can just do anything they want, man.
And the stuff that was going on, like with what you're saying, I mean, you take the Chris Webber situation, and it's been admitted in the court of law that he was given $650,000 when he was in college. I mean, think about something. How could a kid in college hide $650,000? I mean, if we got our scholarship check and had an extra $400 on it, we felt like we were Mark Cuban. I mean, $650,000 doesn't even make sense to me as a 19 or 20-year-old kid. Like, who could think that a kid would not be an idiot with that and not be driving a Lamborghini and Like, that's just, none of that makes any sense. And that's when you're talking about it's crazy out of control. I mean, that's when you're talking about programs like that. Like, they did a good job saving it. I do think Juwan Howard will do a great job, saving that Michigan program. But that's a program that truly, with all the problems they've had over the years, was staring the death penalty in the face. Because, I mean, you got players in a grand jury admitting they are lying about getting $650,000. Your program's on the in the gutter.
Absolutely, man. We got a lot more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle O'Leary on this Wednesday, February 12th. It's Hump Day, Abraham Lincoln's birthday. Stay tuned. We got lots more coming up here from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Matt Weaver from Pigs.com will join us later. We'll talk to him as well. Plenty more to get to. We're back right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett. Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
This is James Blackman Jr., former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Coyle O'Leary with you here, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Get that frog out of my throat, man. Hope you're having a good day as we've hit the midway point. You know, we were just talking about Indiana being fortunate, Ty, that recruiting better people and all that. You know, but then you look at Ohio State; they just had a serious issue come up with a couple of football players. So, very fortunate not to be dealing with that kind of stuff on the program. Tim texted that into the show. Brad said
that's kind of a yearly occurrence for Ohio State football, isn't it? I dislike Ohio State
What's
football.
that? Yeah.
I said it's kind of a yearly occurrence for Ohio State football. But I dislike Ohio State football as much as I dislike Kentucky basketball most.
I hear that, man. That's Tommy B down in Jeffersonville says he likes all three of Archie's recruiting classes and loves his chances of landing Kaufman first and thinks IU will be so much better because of old tradition, because of subtraction. Sometimes that stuff works. Definitely, if you've got there is addition by subtraction sometimes.
I mean, let's just okay. So I said in last segment or last hour, especially, I know I said, and I shouldn't say I feel bad for saying these things about players that are currently at Indiana, but because I know they're trying, I know they're they're out there working hard and they're trying their best, but I mean, you think about it right now. No matter who comes in next year, if all that Indiana loses off of this team is Deron Davis and Devontae Green, and then let's say they have a transfer, which my guess would be that Demezy Anderson's going to transfer because he's not going to play. And if you have those three guys gone, and the three guys that are coming in already next year, say they don't add anyone else, would you not already – and Trace Jackson Davis will be a year older, Rob Finney will be a year older, Al Durham will be a senior. I mean, do you not immediately know this team is going to be better? I mean, I bet you this team with that alone will be ranked in the top 25 to start the season. That's my opinion of that.
And I think that you could be absolutely right as rain. And I think you could be wrong just equally. And it's not because, and you know why I'm saying,
sure.
It's such a tenuous, funny thing that you could be so damn dead on right, and you could be just as wrong equally. It's crazy.
I mean, I
think
losing.
Your odds are that you're closer to being right, in my personal opinion, though.
If you look at plus minus, okay, and I'm one who said I think you could go back and play all the tapes of our shows, and I think you would hear me say way more positive things about Devontae Green than negative, okay? But if you're going to look at just like a plus-minus ratio, if you're going to look at for the team in general, not points or not defense, not whatever, I'm talking about just plus-minus for what somebody brings to a team, I don't think anyone could argue that losing Devontae Green and Deron Davis this year as seniors is going to hurt this team next year. Like, they don't have to replace that much. I mean, Devontae's not giving them anything right now. I think he's capable of it, but I don't think he's doing it.
I agree, man. Well, it's hard for fans to part of it is it's hard for fans to look around other programs because that's just what you do. You compare yourself, and they see these programs that are doing well, and I hate to use the word jealousy because that's not the right word. We're all jealous of others that do well in a way. But that's part of what it is, because when you're so used to being that and it's been gone so long, you don't understand. And it can come back so easily. It will take not very much for Indiana to be exactly like they were 25 years ago in short order. That's the sad part to me. I think they can get there quickly.
Truly, this team, in my opinion, is this team is leadership away. What are we right now? 15-8?
Yeah, I think that's
15-8. So this team, in my opinion, right now is just leadership. Like leadership alone. No more baskets, not better shooting, not a higher percentage, not better defender, nothing. I mean leadership alone, grabbing guys in a huddle and saying, hey, Cassius Winston has 3 fouls. Let's drive the ball against Cassius Winston, get the ball to whoever he's guarding. That kind of leadership within a game, they are that alone away from being 17-6. I mean, there's 2 wins I can name for sure they have with just better leadership. Now, if you include, I think Devontae is a really, really good shooter. I don't think he's proven that, and I think he's proven it. I don't think he's doing it consistently right now. So overall, I don't think we're losing anything that we can't easily replace with what's coming in next season right now. So there's no way to in my mind to think that we for sure won't be better next year. I mean, everybody will be a year older. They just need a piece that is I wish, and I didn't come in this way, so I don't want anybody to think, oh my gosh, I was born as a leader of a basketball team. Bob Knight taught me how to be a leader. No questions asked. The best thing he ever did for me was teach me how to analyze a game and analyze a situation and take advantage of the other team's weaknesses and go to our strengths, which is being a leader. And this, like, if I could implant my brain into Al Durham, just for 40 minutes on the basketball court for him, because he doesn't want it other than that. I think this team would have 2 more wins right now, and I think they'd be going in a direction to be, fighting for a Big Ten championship. Now, that's me being an arrogant ass by saying, what I could do to help. That's me thinking that I could do anything to help them because, maybe I'm wrong. But
I understand that because I look back at your era. You didn't, and I didn't say those teams didn't need leaders. Everybody needs a leader. They didn't need it as much because there were so many people that were leader types,
right?
That had that alpha male competitive get out of my. Who you talking about? Get out of my way. And I don't see that. I don't see those guys fighting to the top. I just see everybody kind of looking at each other, saying, "Well, who's going to do it?"
Like we used to. So here's the thing. Like we used to, when you would huddle up and when you would talk, like when you noticed something that was going on. It was like having a piece of gossip. Like I wanted to get in the huddle and I wanted to be the guy that said it. I wanted to be the guy that said, hey, Juwan Howard has 3 fouls. Let's make, or, we've already got 5 fouls on them, and we've got 15 minutes to go in the first half. Let's hurry up and get 2 more fouls so we get in the bonus. The earlier you're getting the bonus, the bigger your chances are of winning, blah, blah, blah. All those things go along with it. And we all knew all that part of it, but to point something out and recognize it and to bring it to other people's attention is part of being a leader and making us all kind of going towards the same common goal. And, the interesting part of our teams is you used to really have to dig deep to find something that everybody wasn't already recognizing on their own. Cause I'd get in a huddle and be like, hey, we've got 5 team fouls. Let's try to get into the bonus. And Calvert would be like, no, there's already 6 team fouls. And I'm like, dang it. Like I'm not coming up with anything anybody doesn't already know, or I'll say something, we would come in, a guy would check into a game and you would say, hey, AC Earl always turns to his left shoulder. And Calvert would be like, well, but in the play that they're getting ready to run, that box play that they always run when he first comes in the game, he's always going to run to the left block. Like we all knew all these things. We all were thinking them, as opposed to right now, I'd take one guy out on the court that's thinking these things.
Basically, it sounds like the competitive nature was so great that it went all the way down to the information. You were competitive about who knew more information-wise, almost.
And that is so. Here's the thing: like we can all learn that stuff. We sit there all week long and we prepare. There's no question we were prepared. We knew AC Earl turned to his left shoulder every single time he touched the ball. We knew Juwan Howard turned to his right shoulder to shoot a fadeaway jump shot every single time he caught it on the left block. Like we knew exactly what guys were going to do when they caught it. Now, occasionally, if he ever caught it and turned to the opposite shoulder and laid it in, Coach Knight wouldn't say a word because we had prepared based on this is the way it is. And that's all you have to defend. I don't need you to outthink it. I don't need you to be prepared for him to go to his other shoulder. That's what's going to happen, and that's what you have to know. Now, the tough part was being able to do all that while running up and down the court as fast as you can, and the ball flying up and down, and you got turnovers going this way and that way, and guys making shots, and you're trying to guard people. Doing that, like me sitting here saying it to you right now on a Wednesday morning or Wednesday afternoon is easy. Like I can tell you this is what you have to do. But then to be doing it at the pace of a play going up and down the game, it's a little bit tougher. And then factor in, the last 10 minutes of a game when you're dead, tired, exhausted. You remember back playing in the day. Everyone who's played understands. The difference between making a decision when you're tired versus the first 5 minutes of the game. Once your brain starts to get tired too. Once you're physically exhausted and your legs are screaming because they're burning so bad, you're so tired.
You have less oxygen in your body. Your brain does not function as well.
To your brain,
it does not function as well. That's just and that is a fact.
It's no doubt about it. And so the guys, when you say you guys are slowing the game down, that to me is what that means to me. Like I can, I am foreseeing things are getting ready to happen, or I'm getting ready to make things happen, as opposed to all I'm doing is reacting to things flying by me at 50,000 miles an hour. And that's where that's when I say these guys will be a year older. The game will slow down for Trace Jackson Davis next year. Now, look, he does a couple things already like a junior or a senior. He's so strong with the basketball. He's already advanced in age with that. Defensively, he's a freshman. He gets beat a lot defensively, and that gets overlooked because he gets so many offensive rebounds and, a lot of that. But Trace Jackson Davis has a lot of room to improve defensively. I don't think the coaching staff would argue with me in that statement.
No,
and
that's
so
probably said of any freshman. Playing defense is the hardest thing to do in the sport. It's harder than offense. Offense comes natural. Defense is something you have to actually work at hard.
Yeah, and defense is hard because you really need, in order to have a really, really good defense, you need 5 guys working together. You need to be a collective unit when it comes to defense. And especially, the defense that I learned. I mean, the way we did it, how can I guard Jalen Rose, who's 6'8" with a 7'1" wingspan? I mean, I'm 6'2" with a 5'10" wingspan. How could I guard him? I can guard him because I got 4 other guys that I know where they're going to be all the time. And if I know Jalen Rose is left-handed, and I know he doesn't dribble all that, he doesn't take more than 2 dribbles in a row with his right hand. So I know where my guy is on the right to send him to. And I know how to guard Jalen Rose because I know I got 4 other guys that are helping me. But for me to guard Jalen Rose, I won't even pretend to try to act like I can stop Jalen Rose one-on-one. Not even remotely close.
I could.
You could today. You could belly him out of the way today. You could belly him right out of the gym today.
Oh, man. It's been a fun day. On the program today, Matt Weaver, we had Coach Jeff Mercer earlier, Indiana's baseball coach, as the Hoosiers open up the baseball season at LSU, number 11 LSU on Friday. So you got that going for us, which is nice. Hey, man, Michael Avenatti and Nike, they're still going at it, Todd. There's Michael Avenatti is the guy. He represented what was the stripper that Trump got in trouble with? Seriously, he was her attorney.
No way.
Yes, I swear. He was I can't think of her name right now. But anyway, he found out that Nike was paying players as well. They're dirty as any of them. And he thought he could make a little money for himself, and he basically tried to extort them. And he's on trial for extortion. But while all that's going on, all this crap about Nike's coming out. And in the break, you said it. Nike should have just paid the money.
Yeah, I mean, you hate to give in to circumstances like that, but I mean, the whole AAU college basketball shoe company thing. I mean, it's just big. I mean, it's so much bigger than what everybody even has a clue. I mean, the amount of money that's thrown around it's out of this world. It's astronomical. So, I mean, that's just something I think they have to, I truly wouldn't mind it, in all seriousness, if they just said, okay, hey, look, you know what? Forget everything that's happened in the past because we've done a terrible job policing it. From now on, this is the rules. And if you break it, it's borderline. It's probably going to be the death penalty for you're going to be on 3 years probation or 5 years probation. Here are the rules now, because I can't tell you what is legal and what wasn't legal 2 or 3 years ago. I mean, so many places were getting away with. I mean, I'm telling you, the money is crazy. I know AAU programs within the city of Indianapolis from shoe companies that were getting more than $100,000 a year, and they had guys on it you don't even know, like nobody that was crazy good. So I can't imagine the amount of money you're looking at these top 10 recruits in the country that are going to the Kansases and Dukes and North Carolinas and Kentuckys and all those places. Like, I'm not saying those schools cheated or knew anything about it. I'm also not saying they didn't. But I know for a fact, I know the AAU situation was not policed. And if it was policed, it wasn't policed very well. And the amount of money exchanging hands was astronomical.
He's got it. Hey, we got a lot more coming up here. Matt Weaver from Pigs.com is going to join us next. We got a lot to talk about in the football world. Michigan State hired a new coach. They got problems over at Ohio State, and we're heading towards spring ball. Stay tuned. We're back with more Coyle and Leary from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. I got good news for you, Leary, right after. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
You know, that means one thing only. Our good friend Matt Weaver from Peaks.com is joining us. How are you, Matthew?
I'm pretty good. How are you guys?
Can't complain, man. There's a lot going on in the world of football right now, Matt. Michigan State, surprisingly, I'm going to say it, fired Mark D'Antonio, and now they've replaced him. You've got some problems over Columbus and issues, but the shakeup at Michigan State, a little surprising, not totally, because there was some smoke going on there to begin with, but it's still surprising when someone of that stature gets moved out, and that's a pretty big job, man.
Yeah, and it's there's all kinds of reports. I mean, obviously he called it a resignation. There's reports that he wanted to coach, and they started looking, and he got mad and abruptly retired. To kind of basically put him in a bad spot. And then obviously news came out after I went to bed. It was like 1 a.m. I think that Mel Tucker from Colorado is going to be the new coach of Michigan State. And after he had turned it down on Twitter Saturday, and then I guess he was on radio stations yesterday in Colorado 3 different times, and basically solidified his commitment to Colorado, which obviously was not very solid. So it's like I always say, everybody's got a price, and they met his price, so he's leaving.
He'll fit right in at Michigan State.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah, I swear. I mean, I'll say it. I was I've said it before. I was not a fan of D'Antonio. I just did not respect him at all. I didn't think he ran a good, clean program. I think it showed in his players. I'm glad he's gone. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he had a great deal of success, but there was a lot of a lot of skeletons in the closet that started to come out here recently with some of the things that happened off the field, and the whole deal with the Austin Robertson kid from Fort Wayne. I mean, him being an in-state guy, I knew a little bit about his background, and Indiana basically completely stopped recruiting him when they started learning about the stuff he was doing off the field. And I'm not trying to hold up Indiana, but a lot of staffs did. And, Michigan State dropped him as a commit and then took him back, and then he goes up there and commits a crime. And, it's a bad look. It's just, I get, don't get me wrong. I get it. Winning's important. It's huge. But I mean, there is a line I think you shouldn't cross to try to get W's. And to me, D'Antonio is okay crossing that line.
Yeah, and you see someone like Tom Allen who does it the right way, and he's trying to build his program from the bottom up. And it's difficult when you're going against things like that. I mean, it's whether it's basketball, football, doesn't matter. You have coaches talking all the time about other programs. Izzo, he's always dropping hints that he knows that other people are cheating because we're pretty sure that he's one of the clean ones. But it's hard to compete against those cheating programs or programs that are a little salacious when you're trying to do it cleanly.
Yeah, it is. I mean, but I think that, you just keep doing it the way you're doing it. You stick to your core beliefs and your values. And as long as you practice what you preach, which, Tom Allen and his staff have done, I think in the end, I think you'll be okay. I mean, it's always going to be tough when programs are doing things and cutting corners and, what I like to say, that swimming in a certain end of the pool that some programs aren't comfortable swimming in. But the bottom line is you got to do it the way you feel is the right way and the best way, and just work your tail off, and that's what this staff has done, and so far it's paid off for them.
I agree. I cannot believe this, Matt. I just had Coach Mercer on, Indiana's baseball coach, because the Hoosiers open up the baseball season this weekend down at LSU, which is crazy enough. But we're not that far away from spring football practice either. I mean, we're in mid-February. We're a month away from spring ball and 2 months from the damn spring game.
Yeah, I think the first practice, if I remember right, they put it as going to be March 7th. So what is that? Couple weeks from this upcoming Saturday, if I'm correct, I think so.
Yeah,
2.5, 3 weeks, and then like you said, the spring game is just a couple months away. It seems like the season just ended, but obviously with recruiting, it kind of really never ends. But it's kind of nice, maybe like a little bit more of a break, but I kind of like it. It kind of keeps you busy, and I think it keeps fans more invested and more interested in the program when it's kind of year round like this and don't have the dead time. So it should be interesting. I think the spring is going to be a lot of fun to watch. Obviously, there's been changes with the staff and on the roster, and so it'll be interesting to see how they look out there in a few weeks.
Yeah, this is how normal programs act, though. I mean, you said like it seemed like its season just ended. Well, that's because it basically did. Hell, they just played last month in January, which we're not accustomed to that. We're not accustomed to them practicing this long. So it is a big change, but that's what a lot of these bigger programs are accustomed to, and they stay in that flow, I think, year round. And I think staying in that mindset helps you just be better naturally.
Yeah, I agree. And then I think, I would think as players and coaches, once you get a taste of that, you want to taste it every year, and you want to have that same feeling all the time. So it's kind of like that carrot on the end of the stick. It's something to keep striving for, keep going after, and like you said, I think it even though that was obviously a tough loss, we talked about it over and over, but the fact that they went down there, they showed who they could play with. I think it's more motivation than it is frustration with how the game went, and hopefully that carries over into their workouts and then into spring ball, and obviously then the summer's important too. And then before you know it, we'll be talking about fall camp.
Todd, you've had seasons end not how you would like for them to end. When that happens and it, it comes to that abrupt end, do you just want time? Do you just want away from everything at that moment? What's the mindset of an athlete at that moment?
Yeah, it's funny how you say that, because I truly can conjure myself back to that point and remember, you're like, once the season's over, you're like, man, I need a break. Like, I truly need a break. And no kidding, 1 week later, you're right back at it. Like, you want a break. I truly never knew. We used to say this all the time, but I would love to know what it's like to be a regular student. And I don't mean that to be an arrogant ass. I just mean, like, our schedule was always so booked up. Like, we lifted weights at 5:30 in the morning. We had classes that started at 8, and this is in the off season. Our classes started at 8. We had to be done for, conditioning and stuff by 3:00 in the afternoon. We did that till like 5 or 6. And then in the summertime, we had to work during the whole middle part of that day. And so, our days were always so occupied with everything. And we always, every year, it happened the same way, is, we're like, man, I need a break. Like, I need some time off. And that would last for 3, 4, 5 days. And then, a week later, you're right back at it, and you're ready to get up in the morning again. You're ready to get things going. And that's part of the genius, I think, of really successful coaches and programs, is being able to take that Tennessee loss at the end of the season and turn that into a motivational factor, that there was unfinished business for this team, and the guys that didn't graduate have something to come back and work harder for and try to accomplish for next year. And that's what I think, when you build a great program, that's what I think Alabama, I can assure you, Alabama's got plenty to be pissed off about this whole offseason. And I think Nick Saban will have those guys, thinking about it all year long, and he'll be rubbing it in their face all year long. And I think that's what I think Tom Allen will probably use that Tennessee game, a lot in that same manner. You guys have probably heard the tape online of Coach Knight screaming at us about, I'm not going to sit through another 8-10 record, and I'm not going to get my ass beat by Purdue. The funny part about all of that was in like June. That was in the summertime. That was not in the middle of a season in a practice. Like, that was in the summertime. So, it goes all year long, and these guys have plenty to work towards. Matt, I'd love to get your opinion of this, because I know you're still around a lot of the guys at different things around the football complex. And I have noticed this. This season in watching the football players come back to the basketball games. They've got their chest pumped out just a little bit more. They're a little bit more proud of being an IU football player. Or maybe I'm just thinking that because I want them to feel that way, and I want to see that. And I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm saying it that, like, they should be proud of themselves. And I think that gives them the motivation to really work hard. When it's really going to be hot in spring and summer workouts, like that gives you that extra little motivation when you sit back and remember, man, we should have scored at the end of that first half, and man, we should have got that onside kick, and all the different things. And I've seen a little bit of difference, I think, in the football players I've seen at the basketball game so far. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think, I think you're a former athlete, so you know better. But I mean, I think part of that's almost half the battle. I mean, I think when you were on the court, you guys probably felt like every game we're the best team. Nobody's going to beat us. And that's with Indiana football, with the obviously the lack of success. I think that mental thing is, that confidence all the time is something that's ongoing. And I think the season went a long way towards it. I mean, I call it, they call it having swagger. I think it's a big deal on the football field, because you're going to make mistakes on any field. But I mean, you're going to make mistakes. If you're playing DB, you're going to get burned. You got to come back. That's why Tywone Mullen is so impressive. He makes a mistake, and the kid comes back and makes 3 plays in a row. He doesn't care. It doesn't bother him. And those are the kind of the players you need, the mentality you need. And I've seen that too. And I think this season was a big part of it. I think they're disappointed. I think the way it ended was disappointing. I think, quite like you said, I think they're pissed. But I think it's also fuel for the fire. I think they realize and it's not just that one, it's the Penn State game. And, not put their best foot forward against Ohio State and Michigan. Obviously, Ohio State was tremendous this year. Even if you put your best foot forward, you're still going to lose that game. But, not giving a better showing in those games. I think all those things add up, and I think they're looking – the next step for this program is getting one of those big wins. Yeah, one of those kind of signature type victories. And I think the way this season went, they they were pleased with it, but I don't think they're content or satisfied with what they did, and I think that's the most important thing. And I think that confidence is noticeable. I noticed it too when I've been around the players and the coaches, and I think it's going to be a big deal going forward. Now you got to go back it up on the field, but to me, it's what Coach I always said: mental is to physical as 4 is to 1, or something like that. Larry would know better, but
that's exactly
I think it's a big part of it. I think the mental part of it, and have that confidence and that belief in yourself and the guys around you, is huge. It's almost as big as the physical stuff you do in the off season and getting ready for the season.
Bingo. I agree with all of that. Plus, when stealing that one win this coming year, we got the armpit of the Big Ten in Michigan State coming in now to Memorial Stadium. So we should be able to get that signature win this year.
Yeah, I said even before D'Antonio, I told somebody else, I said this, and I know they beat Michigan State. What year was it? Like 15, I think. When Coach Wilson was still the coach, I can't remember. I could have the year wrong, but they obviously were down the year. I think they went 4-8 or 3-9. I said it before. I think this is the year they beat Michigan State, and I like their chances against Penn State. Now we'll see how it plays out. It's going to be tough games, but we got a lot of players back. I think it's going to be a fun season, and hopefully they prove me right this fall.
Yeah, I'm calling it right now. They're going to win that first game at Wisconsin. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it this early. Right now, they're going to win it.
Sounds good to me. I'll be up there, so hopefully they do.
Well, hopefully we're going to be up there too, man. Anything else going on, Matt?
Just waiting. I would think this week we'll get word on the new defensive line coach for Indiana. I'm hearing it's close, so I don't want to say for sure, but I won't be shocked if it happens here this week. And as long as everything is administratively taken care of, I know there's all kinds of stuff that has to be done with the compliance and all that kind of thing, but. I think we could have something soon on that, and obviously that's going to be a key hire. So a lot of good names we're interested, and we'll see who they end up picking.
And as strange as this sounds, but the Indiana just lost Peyton Ramsey, and they lost the running back who also went to the
Ronnie Walker.
Transfer portal. But to me, this team feels as solid coming in next year, as confident, and has things in place like they haven't in a long time. It just has that feeling to me for some reason.
Yeah, there's strength in the roster. I mean, there's probably still a few spots where you'd like to maybe have another guy or two. O-line being one. I know they're still going to try to get a grad transfer O-lineman before next year. Just to kind of give some more depth or maybe compete for a starting spot. And, running back, you got good talent. You're down to 3 scholarship running backs. David Ellis could play there, and they've got some good walk-ons. But overall, this staff has done a really good job of getting this roster balanced out and, shoring up some of the areas that were weak or not where they needed to be when they came in. It's a never-ending process. You're never ever stop doing that, but at least I think the coaches can lay their heads on the pillow at night and feel a lot better where the roster is now than it was a few years ago. And it's, hopefully just going to keep getting better. And the transfer portal is going to be something you're always going to have to navigate. It's just the way it is. And Indiana hasn't been hurt terribly by it, obviously this year a little bit, but going forward, it's going to be something. It's just the way it is. And with a young team, the next couple of years, you could see some guys get upset and take off because they're not playing. And that's just something you're going to have to try to work through.
Well, the good thing is that's a problem that you don't like, but you certainly like having, because when you have that kind of talent leaving, it's because there's other talent in front of them. So that's a plus for this Indiana football team, I think.
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, if good players are leaving, then you've got – and you're winning, then that means you got good players playing ahead of them, and there's competition. You don't want them to leave, but, you understand how it is. These guys only get 4 or 5 years to play, and I get it. They get ready to. They get frustrated if they're not playing, I guess is the best way to put it. And some of them, are impatient. And Ivory Winters probably should have stuck around because he'd have a good shot to play next year if he would have. But they're young. They make hasty decisions. We were all there at one point in our life, and so you just got to live and learn.
Seems like we talk about that every day of young people making hasty decisions. Matt, I can't thank you enough, brother. We appreciate you. I hope you have a great day, a great rest of your week, and look forward to talking about the defensive line coach next week.
Okay, guys. Take care. Have a good week.
You betcha. There's Matt Weaver from Peegs.com, our good friend here, joining us talking some football. We got lots more to get to, man. Todd, it is going to be a fun week. Indiana has a big game tomorrow night. We got to get to. Maybe they can shock their fans, get things turned around. Hopefully so. But we got a lot more to talk about when we come back. We'll talk a little bit more about the basketball and see what Indiana can get done against those Hawkeyes tomorrow night. We're coming back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Tomorrow behind.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Coyle and Louie with you here on this Wednesday, February 12th. Happy birthday, Abraham Lincoln. Greatest president in our country's history, in my opinion.
You never got back to my Abraham Lincoln story.
Oh, that's right. Well, now that's perfect segue. We're in the last segment of the show. We won't get in FCC trouble.
So this is factual. This event actually happened. This weekend, Pat Knight's in town, obviously, for all the festivities and everything going on. Coach Knight's phone rings.
It's Abraham Lincoln.
It is. They answer the phone. They say, Bob Knight, please. They said, well, he's currently not available. Can I help you? He said, yeah, this is President Donald Trump. This is a true story. So this is President Donald Trump. So they say, oh, well, hang on a minute. Let me grab it.
This is Saturday?
This is Saturday. Yes. Saturday morning. So they go get him. Coach, I mean, you know Coach's situation. I mean, he's not really – and I'm not saying this to make light of it. He's not capable of holding a conversation over the phone like that. So, I mean, that part of the conversation lasts like 20 or 30 seconds, and then he hands the phone back to Pat. And it's Pat talking to Donald Trump. And if you know Pat, you'll kind of get the humor in that because Pat is just funny.
Because he don't care who it doesn't matter who he's talking to.
Pat's explanation to me is, I'm not even like I'm not political. Like I don't take a big stance one way or the other or whatever. But I know my dad's support of him or whatever, and I know I've read enough headlines of what my dad said about him and all that. So Pat picks up the phone, and the first thing he says is, hey, President Trump, it's great to talk to you. He said, I want you to know my dad has instilled in all of us that you are the greatest American since Abraham Lincoln. Factual, true story. That happened on the phone this weekend.
So Abraham Lincoln does get worked into the show.
Abraham Lincoln is worked into the show. It was the topic of conversation between Pat Knight and Donald Trump this weekend.
Oh, my goodness.
You just never know what you might learn on our show.
Dude, we got to get Pat on as soon as possible. Man, I am going to.
Pat needs a couple days. He needs a couple days reprieve after he spent the entire week here last week, and spent every day at some point with his mom Nancy, and at his dad's house with Karen and Coach, and he's just Pat doesn't have any kids of his own.
Does Nancy still live here? That's his first wife.
Yeah, Nancy still lives here in Bloomington.
Pat's mom.
Pat's mom, yeah.
Now, one thing, and I don't want to – I noticed Tim Knight wasn't there.
Here's the interesting part. Tim was always around when I was in school, and it was never the topic. I don't know what the situation is there. I'm not going to pretend to know. I will just say he wasn't around all weekend, and no one really brought the situation up. I don't know if there was a reason or no reason for that. And because they didn't bring it up, I didn't bring it up. So but Tim has always been a huge part of everything with Coach Knight, and he was responsible for a lot of his sponsorship deals with Coca-Cola and, just a lot of stuff back in the day. But I have no idea. I know Tim doesn't live here. I think he still lives in Texas, I believe. But I know he does have children. So there's probably a decent reason why he wasn't here this weekend.
Pat Knight and Donald Trump. It's going to take me a minute to get past that one, man.
Yep. It is. It's not. It's when I was first being told the story, I was like, "This is fabricated." Nope, it's confirmed. It's legit. It's legit.
I can see him picking up the phone and just saying, "Well, how the hell are you, Mr. President?"
Yeah. The conversation went a little bit farther, but there's an off the air part of it that I'll have to tell you because it's not for.
Not for public consumption.
It's not to be. Yeah, it's not for social media.
That's just hilarious, though. But it also shows you that even in this state, the reach that Bob Knight has, all the way to the freaking White House.
Yeah. Yep, no doubt. Well, Coach did a lot of campaigning and stuff for Donald Trump, and look, you know how we are on the show. Like we don't jump on political sides one way or the other. I don't have an opinion of somebody because they are Republican or Democrat or independent or liberal or not liberal, whatever they want to be. So that's just so.
It also points to how quickly, sadly, this has progressed for Coach Knight.
For sure.
I mean, because it was not that long ago.
4 years ago,
he was out there. He was out there stopping
nation.
for Trump, man. Yeah, right. Out there talking to people, and man, it's just unfortunate how quickly that went. Earlier, you were talking about leadership for this team, and Brad texted from Jasper, and I didn't get to it, but he said, is what Todd mentions leadership or basketball IQ? And I think sometimes that goes hand in hand.
Yeah, I mean, it does. It's probably, I'll view it as leadership from the standpoint of, making guys aware, putting everybody in the best position possible to succeed, And by knowing all that information and by knowing what's going on and by knowing what we're trying to accomplish and, by repeating what defense we're in and, by just, talking about what we're trying to accomplish offensively or how many fouls the other team has. I mean, yeah, you can argue it whatever you want to call it. I'm not trying to act like I'm some insane leader or anything. It's just what we learned. I mean, it was part of the learning curve and learning process for us. So, maybe what I'm saying is we need a higher basketball IQ. I don't know, but we need these guys on the floor all kind of on the same page and working towards the same goal. And like, I'm not saying this to be funny. I truly, you've watched enough games with me. You know how frustrated I can get. And I'm not saying this for any attention or to be funny at all, but I mean, it would be scary to stop the game in the middle of the game and ask our players individually what they're trying to accomplish. I'd be afraid as to what 5 different answers we might get, because I sure as heck don't see out there on the court. I don't see guys all working together. I just don't see it. I mean, I wish I did, but I don't.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people agree with you, unfortunately. Tim texted in, says, Trey Kaufman's sure been on campus a lot this year. The kid from Silver Creek is who he's talking about. Yeah, who knows where he's going to go. Just hear so much. You got 4 games left to make it to Bubba's, he's telling us.
We are going to make it.
And then here's kind of a funny story. He said, I guess Pat was on a podcast or something. Said Pat said when he went to ask Coach if he was ready to go, he said, go where? Then he told him, and Coach asked him if there were going to be any a-holes there. Pat said, if you pay my bail, Dad, I will get all the a-holes out of there.
Yeah, I mean, Pat is Pat was one of my good friends in school. He was in my wedding. He's a great friend of mine. And I'm as happy. I think I said this on the show. I'm as happy for him in this whole reunion thing because, it's pure 100% family loyalty to his dad. And if we all don't understand that, then we're on different pages. But I can understand why he hasn't felt comfortable or been okay with coming back here for the last 20 years. And that to me, I'm more excited that, for the next 20 years, Pat will feel comfortable and be happy to come back to IU because, I mean, I hope Coach is around for 20 more years. But I think in reality, we all probably don't think that that's going to happen. And I'm glad that it did happen before he was gone, and so that Pat is able to do that.
And it's not just Pat, but Scott Mays and the Quinn Buckner.
Exactly. It's not just Pat. It's all. There's a laundry list of guys that it's the truth about, and now it's just not. I'm not saying that everyone put Coach Knight's wishes above their own, and guys wouldn't come back. I'm not saying that because there's been plenty of different instances where guys have come back.
But he cast a long shadow
when their teams were honored and things like that. But I can also tell you this, like there's a big group of guys that when they did come back, they tried to make it as low profile as possible because they just didn't want
Look at Jay Edwards. Jay Edwards is a perfect example on the day of the celebration.
Yeah.
You told the story. Where was he?
He was in the stands. Yep.
That's just amazing to me that he was just going to go through that whole thing and just not take part.
Can you imagine being the person sitting next to him?
There's no way they could have known.
What are you doing? Like, what are you doing?
I mean,
somebody asked me the question that
did he feel unwelcome?
You could tell he felt uncomfortable. He did not feel comfortable, and that's where guys like Jamal Meeks and even like Pat Knight and guys like that. I mean, that's where they are insanely valuable in a situation like that because, I mean, Jamal makes everybody feel comfortable. I mean, Jamal is just Jamal. And
Scott that saw? How did he see him in the freaking crowd?
I to be honest, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how they saw him. I saw them come back and go, Jay is up there in the stands. And Jamal was like, where? Let's go. Let's go. I mean, can you just imagine? I mean, somebody asked me the question, if is there one player what one player could you take from the old days, if you take their actual playing ability back when they played and put it on this team, this current team that would make them
badass,
that much better, would make them the best they could possibly be? Jay Edwards would be my answer.
If they have Jay Edwards, this team would be a top 10 team.
Yes.
I firmly believe that, because
if this team had Jay Edwards, Trace Jackson Davis would be the freshman of the year in the country.
Oh, I guarantee it. He would. Jay Edwards does, because it's not because Jay Edwards was a great shooter, which he was. He was good at so many things. He could attack the rim. He drew so much attention. He was fast. He was a wizard with that ball.
You know, this was the way it was explained to me. And it was Lyndon and Jamal and those guys, Mark Robinson and those guys all explaining this to me when I was there, because, you know, I didn't overlap with Jay. I got Jay's scholarship. When Jay left Indiana, it opened up one more scholarship. There was already 6 guys coming to IU, and it opened up a 7th scholarship in that 1 year. And that was mine. That they offered it to me. And so I never overlapped with him, but this is what they explained, because you would hear Coach Knight talk about, you know, you always heard him talk about Steve Alford didn't play any defense. And then Steve Alford actually became a really good defender by the time he was done. But the guys would all explain, look, Jay might not rotate. Jay might not be there on time. He might not be in position, you know, until it got to that one possession where you really needed the steal. And then Jay always came up with the steal. Jay always came up with the block out. Jay always came up with the rebound. Jay always, whenever the play had to be made, Jay made it. And they're not talking about baskets, because we all know he made the baskets when they needed to be made.
Tommy V in Jeffersonville says Jay Edwards is the best shooter I've ever seen. Jamal Meeks is the first Hoosier to give me his autograph and played me one-on-one. He is awesome.
Well, if you could shoot from the outside, you probably beat him. And I would say that to Jamal today. But Jay Edwards is the best. Jay Edwards is the best clutch shooter. I mean, exactly. He's Larry Bird-esque when it comes to that. He's the best clutch shooter Indiana's ever had. And you know, hey, I was an Indiana fan. Understand this. I don't go to Indiana if Jay Edwards stays for 4 years. And I can tell you, I'm such an Indiana fan. I kind of wish Jay Edwards had stayed 4 years.
Well,
to see him for 2 more years, I would have loved it.
Yeah, it would have been nice, but it would have screwed my show up. So I'm glad he did.
It would have. I agree. I'd be the coach at Purdue right now, and I'd
be sitting here with Matt Painter. Maybe
you'd be doing your show with Matt Painter,
or maybe Jay Edwards. Who knows?
Yep, you never know.
Oh, man, it has been another fun one, and we got more coming up tomorrow and the rest of the week. Looking forward to getting there. Tomorrow, our buddy Mike DeCourcy on with us.
Oh, sweet.
Looking forward to that, man.
Well, I'm not looking forward to his outlook on the Big Ten right now, because I know it's not going to include Indiana. I've seen all the updated projections, and Indiana's not in it.
Yeah, it's not looking good, but it's up to them, man. It's completely in their hands. They can – a win over Iowa does a lot, but a loss to Iowa does more the wrong way.
Yeah, the good news for Indiana with the remainder of the season and the schedule is that all the teams they need to jump in front of to solidify the fact that they are in the tournament are the teams that they play. I mean, getting to play Minnesota twice, getting to play Wisconsin at home. I mean, those are big games for Indiana.
Yep, and we'll be back to talk about it all tomorrow. Like I said, Mike DeCourcy from Fox, from the Big Ten Network, from the Sporting News. He's from everything. He's ubiquitous. He'll be with us tomorrow to talk about it. He's one of our favorites, man. And we'll talk a little bit about the Bob Knight return as well, what that meant to him. He wasn't there. I was a little surprised. He must have had to be someplace else, because he actually lives in the Indianapolis area. But looking forward to getting back to that, man.
DeCourcy?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I don't want to bust him out where he lives exactly, but yeah, he lives in Indiana. But we're looking forward to it, man. It's going to be another fun show for the rest of the week. We're looking forward to doing it. Thanks a lot for joining us. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to Jake for keeping us on track. Thanks for Todd for being here as always. Thanks a lot for the birthday wishes. I appreciate you guys. Have a great day, and I will see you on the radio.